So we have a game or we don't have a game?
I think we're going to have 2 games.
Okay, that's what I want to do. Yes.
I hear you're repeating a couple of times your budget. How do we plan to fund the Gold Cup and the World Cup budget?
Well, I won't get into that. That is marketing. I will talk about what I know, not what I am not fair with, not what I am not close to. And budgeting and finance and that part of it, I am not close to.
Welcome, Sports Nation, to Sports DTM, the sports channel where we call sports down the middle. You can expect the latest in sports news, views, and reviews from our resident analysts. No sports topic is too controversial, and no team or player is above criticism. So just smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on our balanced offering of riveting sports content. And don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Welcome to Sports DTM.
Greetings, sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Sports Down the Middle, the channel of undiluted sports content. We see that you have been watching and liking our videos. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please click the subscription button and hit the notification bell to get updates on the latest happenings in sports. If the subscription button is still red, it simply means you have not yet subscribed. So what are you waiting on? Go ahead and hit that button, and welcome to the Sports DTM family. Today we have with us in our Sports DTM virtual studio a very special guest. He is a multi-award winning sports reporter, video analyst, videographer. He is a press officer of the Jamaica Football Federation. He is Earl the Bald Eagle Bailey. Earl, welcome to the Sports DTM family.
Thank you very much, sir. I am a fan of the channel. I pay attention to you guys, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Thanks for coming online. And I also have with me my colleagues, Tigat and Eddie, and they'll be sitting with us through this little chat. All right, Earl, as is our custom, when we have persons coming on our program for the very first time, we ask them to tell us a little about the sports teams that they support, both locally and internationally.
Well, today I had on my Chelsea shirt all day, and I didn't put it on after the game. I put it on this morning when I showered and put it on because I was quite confident that Chelsea would have done well.
Yeah.
Didn't know that they would win, but I knew that we would not go away from that game with nil, with nothing.
Nothing.
So I'm fine with that.
Tiga, don't be too happy about that.
Yeah. Internationally, Argentina is my side.
We're happy.
And of course, anything Jamaica, that's me.
Which is right.
Which is right. All right, great, Earl. All right, so any other sports you're interested in?
Oh, no, track and field, man. Come on. I have covered track and field for many, many years. I participated a little bit. My son represented Jamaica in track and field at the World Championships in 2009. He was he's a legend at KC. Won 6 championships at KC. So, you know, a lot of gold medals. Went away on scholarship. So I am deep in track and field. I've represented the country as an administrator in track and field as well.
Right.
I'm right up there. Track and field and football, right next to each other. So for me.
Since you touch on track and field, I know you're the JFF press officer, but I have to ask it. It's the season for champs. Who is winning boys and girls champs? I
can tell you who will win girls champs, and that's Edwin Ali.
All right.
Boys champs is a nip and tuck. Who makes the.
Come on, Earl. Call it Earl.
I will not. All I'll say is that I will stay at home and enjoy this one right up until the last race. KC and JC, I think, will be right there.
All right, sounds good. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself, growing up, and how you got involved in sports and sports journalism.
I am a countryman, you know. I was born in Trelawney, went to Homewood, and I left Homewood and came to Kingston quite early at age 16 plus. So, you know, it's a long time ago. I always loved sport, but I didn't board at school, so I couldn't participate in sport. When you leave like 10, 50, well, I live about 12 miles from the school. And you have to take the country bus in the morning to school, and you have to take the country bus home from school. So there's no time to actually do much at school in sport. But I would stay back and try to to watch the football team play, watch cricket and everything. And then I got a chance to study sports after that, because I studied in Cuba. So I went to Cuba and did my thing. Of course, even before going to Cuba, I did some coaching, track and field coaching at Papine Secondary. When I came back from Cuba, I started teaching at Camperdown. I was assistant to Glenn Mills in track and field. When Camperdown came second to KC, I think it was 1983, I was an assistant to Glenn Mills there. People like Raymond Stewart of this world, that group, I was assistant to Glenn Mills. And then afterwards, my brother got me into business, I left sport, and then I came back into sports because I started working at the Jamaica Observer when it opened. Was there until 1999. I covered all the World Cup campaign, the 1998 World Cup campaign. The only game I didn't cover was the game in Canada that Jamaica drew. Remember that game in Canada? In the cold in Canada. I didn't cover that. Right. But I was right across the region with the team. And then in 1999, I went to work as a press officer. Was there for until 2005. And then I started my own thing. And then at RGR, I did Sports Explosion, analytical work, right? Until I walked away from RGR in a couple of years ago. So I'm doing my own thing. Then I was, somebody talked to me, the job again at the JFF as a press officer, because they needed one. We didn't have one. So I decided that I'd go back and help. But here I am again.
Mr. Earl, you spoke of the press officer. What's the role of JFF's press officer? For those that don't know.
All right, the role of the press officer at a federation is to bring the contents from the federation to the media, which in turn will bring it to the public. That's one. So I try to, behind the scenes, publicize the federation to assist the team in competition to meet the media expectations. So, for example, pre-match interviews, I would deal with them. Post-match interviews, I would choose players to go along with the coach to the post-match interviews. You'll see that at the Worldcup, for example, Copa in America, in Chile, I was there with them, making sure that they do interviews to send back to the media here in Jamaica, so that there is a closeness between the teams and the fans back here in Jamaica. So that is basically my job. Also to update like the website, any little stories that I could put there. When it comes to social media, I am not the man who is a social media specialist. That's more into marketing, but I do help. If you realize, like when we were in Austria, I did, because I'm a professional videographer as well. So I did some interviews, I did those, and so they're all over the place now. So that's basically my role.
Okay, Mr. Bailey, you just talk about matches. All right, we have secure 2 friendly matches against Serbia and Japan. You want to tell us about that, sir?
All right, I'm going to teach you something now.
It's been reported.
It's been reported.
Yes,
absolutely.
Been reported.
But I cannot confirm that game until the 11th, because when you sign off games, especially when there are multiple teams involved, the games are to be promoted and to be announced simultaneously on the same day. You don't want one country to be talking about the games. So, okay, we're going to play X and we're going to play Y, and that country, the media in that country don't know about it, that, and they can't talk about it. So what they try to do is to have a media embargo until the day decided that everybody would have a press conference. Just similarly to what we saw last week, or earlier this week with the
Reggae Girlz.
Reggae Girlz.
Okay.
The United States announced it. We did, Nigeria did, and Portugal did on the same day.
So we have a game or we don't have a game?
I think we're going to have 2 games.
Okay, that's what I want to do. Yes.
All right, that sounds reasonable enough and fair enough. Just to indicate though that if we're having a game, how exactly can you speak any at all in terms of how we'll be putting together our squad, the overseas and the local players? We're there yet in terms of looking at that?
All right. A squad has been called because you have to call the squad 15 days in advance of a game. So a squad has been called, the players actually know. Of course, we have to call a squad based on those who signed. So if you see, the squad will be announced on Tuesday, that I can tell you. And if you see people missing from that squad, then it means that those people have not signed the contract. If you see anybody on that squad, it means that those people would have signed the contract. The last number I heard was in the 40s. Near 50 people would have signed a contract already.
Good number.
Right.
So that's the pool. That's the pool. 50. That's
so
the pool.
Right. So it therefore means that we can find a team, and therefore we will be playing those 2 games come the beginning of June.
That's certainly very good news, Earl. That we can actually ensure that we get some players up and running. And so I'd want to know, I know there are a lot of logistics to be handled for this. How are the preparations in terms of, are we planning to host camps before the friendlies? Are we looking at, the travel arrangements? How is that coming along?
It's difficult to hold a camp per se, because we have players, not like in 1998. We have players in all the corners of the world. We have players in Africa. We have players in Asia. We have players in Europe. We have players in America. We have players here, all over the place. So we have to get those players together.
All right, Earl, not to cut you, but more specifically, will you have a local camp at least, especially since the Premier League has just been announced to come back, different from the team which will have to actually play at the start at the games?
It was mooted at one stage about a local camp. However, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, depending on what the coach comes up with between now and then, because he will, I think there's a 30-man squad selected already, but he will have to choose X amount of players from that. So depending on how many local-based players are selected. There's no sense in having a camp if you only have 3 or 4 local-based players in that.
Understand.
You just said players a while ago and my antenna just went up, went up. There's a certain player that if you watch our channel, we asked to come home, you understand? And we asked to join us. Yeah, and we want to know the status of this player because we want to see this player in the team, in the squad. The player is Mr. Ivan Toney. So what can you tell me about this player? Is he coming home?
I would love to say yes, but I can't. My contact in England tells me that he believes that Mr. Toney is young enough and he wants to wait for an England call. Right now, I think he's waiting on an England call. That's one, but 2, he also is concentrating on getting and doing well in the Premiership, and then afterwards, he'll decide whether he plays for England or he plays for X or Y. Right now, I think he's more business, personal business than international football.
All right, Earl, it's close. We have a lot of names going around. Can you speak on anybody?
I am not the coach. I can't speak on anybody, but the last time I saw that was when the president was on a show some time ago, and a lot of names were placed, and he started talking about them. And we had some of those players have not really shown an interest up to this point. So I wouldn't want to get into that at all.
I guess yeah, and I quite understand because the announcements are made about these players, the Nathan Redmond, the Kemar Roof, the Isaac Aiden, etc. But people generally don't know. So we don't know if they're close or they're in between or they're not close at all.
A lot of these players, let me tell you, a lot of these players that people talk about, I see it in different channels all over talking about the Reggae Boyz. And you hear this every day. We hear about another name. But a lot of these players, they have Jamaican parents, but they are as far from Jamaica as the East is from the West. And we attach our name to them because they say, oh, you know, maybe I'll think about it and so forth. But these guys, they're not committed to play for Jamaica. They don't want, I mean, they say, well, it would be nice to play, but I don't think I want to jump on a plane and come 9 hours to the Caribbean. A swollen ankle and to be training in the sun on a tough surface and so forth. That's why I rate and I respect those guys from England who actually commit themselves to come to Jamaica and train because they don't have to.
You don't have to.
The conditions, it's not easy when you leave England. You know, you saw a game earlier in the week where there was hail and it looked so cold in the Premiership, and they had to clean off hail and whatever off the field. And when you leave that soft field at halftime, they turn the water on and so forth. When you leave that and come to Jamaica to play a game, you have to be committed. A lot of respect to those people. And that's why I love those guys who played for us in 1998. They played with a passion, with if you wake up Dan Burton at 12 o'clock in the night and say we have a game 7 o'clock in the morning, he will probably look to turn and say, well, all right, give me 4 more hours to sleep and I'll be there at 6 o'clock. And I see it after talking with some of these players, the new players in England. I see a similar commitment with them. When I spoke with somebody like a Liam Moore, for example, I mean, I can call a couple of names. When you look in the guy's eyes, I saw commitment with a Liam. A couple of others, you know, and I really love what I saw, and I'm looking forward to seeing them actually come into the Caribbean and come into the region and play well for Jamaica.
Okay, I was listening for a certain name, and I don't hear him mention it or no, you know, the West Ham player. He came back from injury and scored 2 goals. What is going on with him?
Yeah, he will be ready. He'll be ready.
He's committed.
He's committed.
He went to that place and he got his documents.
He's on board.
He's all right. That's what we want to know.
All right. That's very good news for
so
our
this
fans
is
out there.
so we are breaking this.
Well,
not sure if you're breaking it, but
he's on board. He's on board.
He's on board. Come on.
He's on board.
All right. Thanks for that. Our fans will be excited to get that reassurance, Earl. So we run on a little bit more, right? You're looking down with your bald eagle eyes. What's the expectation for us? The Worldcup is coming up. The Worldcup qualifiers are coming up. Tell us what the expectations are of the Reggae Boyz, of the team.
All right, let's start with the Worldcup. The Worldcup we have done quite well at the Worldcup in recent times, and there's expectation in the team to actually go there and win this time. It won't be easy because we do know the quality of Mexico, we do know the quality of the United States, and there are some other teams that you can't show them aside and say, well, they're not good enough. But we do know the quality that we have. Jamaica, I think, is the best team that we have ever had. If somebody wants to bet me, I put good money on to say, well, this is the best team that we have ever had, and the best squad that we can ever put together. So we should be in it. However, I mean, if you read well, you realize that the USA might not be playing their #1 squad. Most of the foreign-based players, they say they'll rest them. Those guys in playing in Europe, the Pulisic and those guys. So they probably use up the MLS squad because they have 2 squads in training. Mexico may do the same. So therefore, we
very good
could
opportunity.
Right.
Big advantage, Jamaica.
Right. We would love to do that, but we can't because we will be using that to put our team together. The Mexicans have been playing a long time together. The Americans have been, because they have big different budgets, as you know. The Americans have a budget of $100 million US. I mean, that's ridiculous. So they can put on their own friendly games, as we saw in Austria and Wales recently. They are the ones who funded those games. They call, they say, well, I think we want to play a Caribbean team. Who should we play? Okay, let's call Jamaica and give them X amount and tell them, take care of them and bring them come. That is from their budget. We don't have that type of budget. That is what we are competing against. The Mexicans have a similar budget because football is their #1 sport by a gap. But we have to compete against them. So let's say the World Cup it should be competitive, and we do have a chance. The World Cup campaign starts in September. The 3-game window, my friends, is a different ball game to the 2-game window. The new 3-game window, it suits the teams with big squads. For example, the US, they have a big squad. The Mexicans have a big squad, and now we are trying to assemble a large squad. Why is it different from the 2-game? Because if you play, for example, let us look at the first window. We play Mexico. Then the team flies to Jamaica, and we play one of the qualifiers. Then the team flies to Costa Rica and play Costa Rica. What if there are 2 injuries, for example? Say a center half get injured in Mexico. Therefore means that we have to have a strong another person to play the second and third game. What if, say, a winger gets injured? We have to have a backup window of equal quality to play the second and third game. If a man gets a red card, for example, in the second game, we can't give up the third game. We have to have a person who are very good players, who is going to fit in to play. So therefore, you have to have very good, versatile players who are going to come in and play. What if there's an injury, for example, in the #1 window, which is September? That after the time between the third game, which is the Costa Rica game, and the 4th game, it's less than a month. So that player might not be fit for the next window. Yeah. And that is why you have to have a whole lot of players put on. You have to call them and say, look, we may not use you in this window, but we might use you in the next window. The Americans can lose a player today, and they fly down a player because they have that type of budget. They fly down a player to play in the 3rd game or whatever. They have that type of budget. We don't have that budget.
Earl. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I hear you're repeating a couple of times your budget. How do we plan to fund the Gold Cup and the World Cup budget?
Well, I won't get into that. That is marketing. I will talk about what I know, not what I am not fair with, not what I am not close to. And budgeting and finance and that part of it, I am not close to.
All right, fair enough.
I will not speak of that.
So Earl, that means the 30-man squad that they asked for the Gold Cup will suit us well because we can feel everybody.
All right, I'll tell you now though that although the 30-man squad for the Gold Cup was mooted some time ago, but from the correspondence that I have seen coming from CONCACAF, it is still 23, and 3 of them must be goalkeepers. So it's not 30, it's really 23.
Proposal stage.
Yeah, I want to tell you though, 30 at a tournament, 30 players at a tournament would be unwieldy for a coach. It's not easy to have 11 here and 11 there, and still you have something like 8 players standing on the sidelines. It's not that wouldn't be easy at all. We
were saying that it's going to be rough and tough.
A headache.
Yeah, it will be a headache, and I am happy that they actually say 23. If needs be down the line, we can always call in one or two if there are injuries and so, we call in 1 or 2. But if you realize even in the Premiership, some coaches, although you can register 25, they only work with 22 or 23.
So just to be clear, Earl, at this point in time, based on the correspondence that you have, we're still at 23 players for the Gold Cup.
23 players for the Gold Cup, every team.
And that's similar also for the World Cup.
There's an initial, no, I have not gotten the correspondence for the World Cup yet, but there's an there's an initial 35-man squad that has to be in by the 14th of June, 14th, 15th of June, and then the actual squad, the 23-man squad, will have to be in by the end of June. I think it's by the 30th of June. So there you are.
All right, sounds good. Go ahead, Eddie.
We noticed that the Reggae Girlz were idle for, and luckily we got 2 games. Can you speak to us about that?
Yes. Yeah, they were idle, but getting games for the women's team is not as easy as the men's team. If you realize the women's teams around the world, the big teams play a lot of games between each other. Like the US, Sweden, Germany, they play a lot of games between each other because those teams have a large budget. They determine when they want to play, who they want to play against, and so forth. In the case of the tournament in the States, it's a tournament. It's not a tournament. It's really a series of friendly games.
Right.
And the USA included us, and we are happy that they have. So we'll play the US and we'll play Nigeria. 2 fantastic teams, as you know. One is the undisputed champion of the world, and the other one is a top team because it's the #1 team in Africa. Very athletic team.
Right.
Very athletic team. Number 38 in the world. We are 51. Jamaica is ranked number 51. But I think it's 51 because we have not been playing games. Because
Yeah, man,
right.
Definitely.
But based on the quality that we possess now, if you look at the squad, based on the fact that there are so many girls playing in international clubs all around the world, in the Syria, in Germany, in England, in the States, given the time, because there will be a camp for the girls, for the ladies in Houston prior to those 2 games. There's a camp from the 4th to the 8th. So they will get a chance to come back together, to work on chemistry, and to come up with a team. But certainly the baptism of fire is there. You can't get a better team to play against than the States.
Absolutely.
Right. And I don't know how many games Nigeria would have been playing in recent times, but we know that it's a top-class team as well. So these are 2 tough games to play. But then when you want to qualify for the World Cup, you need to get really, really high-class competition. And our girls, they are high-class quality, no doubt about it.
All right. Okay. Mr. Bailey. In recently we see the JFF image has taken a hit, right? So as JFF press officer, what can you tell? What can you tell us?
Well, over the last a couple of years, some hits have been taken. But if you realize over the last 6 months, it has not been so bad. It is improving, and as it comes closer to the World Cup, I think now that we have signed up with the players, that's the synergy with the players. When a lot of that, or should I say, the friction with the players would have played a large part in that. And now that there's a synergy, there's a closeness, we're trying to improve that. Okay. When we see them, when they come together as a team, hopefully there will be meetings and there will be a closeness between the federation and the players. I think that will help a great deal, because that was really a sore point. Right. And it is hoped that will improve. The players will feel better, and they'll speak a lot better about the federation. But it was bad, I must admit, but I think it's improving now.
Sounds good, Earl. And I believe out of some things which weren't so good, we're getting some good stuff in terms of contracts being signed, and the football really progressive, getting good players in and all of that. So we're looking forward to bigger and better things as we qualify, or we push to qualify for the World Cup.
Absolutely. On both sides, we are getting top class girls as well. You realize that Jade Bailey from Liverpool, and this is not just the men. If you look at the quality of players on the female team and the girls team, it's a fantastic team that Coach Busby has to work with. So we are in a position that we could have 2 teams by March. We could have 2 teams qualified for the World Cup. This is an unprecedented time for Jamaica's football. The next 6 months will be the most intense and critical time in the history of Jamaica's World Cup. I mean, Jamaica's football.
Okay, that I can appreciate that, and just to note as well, the JFF worked recently with the Professional Football Jamaica Limited in securing approval for local football to resume. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this should have been done a long time ago, honestly. I think that, you know, the government has been really, really tight with the restrictions for sport in general, not just for football. And I think that, you know, we are smart enough, we are bright enough here in Jamaica to actually run a league without it being a super spreader. We see other people doing it, and I think we can do it as well. And it's just so unfortunate though that the league will be really, really short. But I think it's better to have a short league than no league at all, because the gap, when you unlike riding a bicycle, you know, when you get back on a bicycle 2 years later, you just jump on the bicycle and you start riding. It's not the same thing with most sports, especially technical sports. When you don't play the sport, you are going to regress. You're going to get worse. You need constant practice, you need constant training to stay at the same level or to improve. So therefore, it has been overseen. It's a long time now since we have been playing here in Jamaica, and it makes life difficult for the coach to actually select local players.
Yeah,
I think we are lucky that we have a bunch of players who wants to play for us, because if we were depending on the local lads to actually play the World Cup, it would be a sad day. But I'm happy that the government has now relented. I'm happy that we have the green light, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Premier League.
excellent. And your final thoughts in general in terms of how we proceed with football. What are our expectations of the JFF in the coming year?
Well, right now the JFF they are concentrated on getting these 2 teams qualified. That's the most important thing. The Gold Cup is just a stepping stone for the World Cup. It would be nice to win it, but as far as we are concerned, it is the final training camp and the final examination of these players before September. And I think that Coach, I have a lot of faith in Coach Whitmore. He is not somebody who talks a lot and is out there, you know, beating his own drum and so forth. But if you even listen to when you travel with him, you realize that he's highly respected, especially in CONCACAF, by the other coaches. And I think that the players play for him, and you'll see when the World Cup comes on, you realize. And I think the same thing will happen in the World Cup. But as I say, the 3-game window suits the US and Mexico with a large squad, because they can rotate players easier. Jamaica cannot do that because we have a much, much smaller squad. And those players, we have to hope that they don't get injured.
All right, wrapping up now. Where can the people find Earl Bailey on social media, as well as the JFF?
At Bald Eagle JA. That's on Twitter. And I don't use Instagram a lot. I think that is more for the younger set. Twitter is where and doesn't say that I will be tweeting right throughout the wherever I go. Whether I go to Japan with the senior team, that's with the men, or I go to Houston with the women, I'll be tweeting. So you can stay up to date with Bald Eagle JA, Earl H. Bailey. Throughout the World Cup, I'll be doing the same. Throughout the World Cup, I'll like pictures, videos, and so forth. So if you follow Bald Eagle JA, you should be informed quickly, training, after training, whatever. I mean, what happens behind the scenes in the dining room, a little fun here and there, I'll be doing that.
Excellent stuff. Earl, the Bald Eagle Bailey, want to thank you for coming on the program.
I appreciate it, man. As I say, I'm a fan of the channel, and I look forward to you on a weekly basis. Sometimes I laugh when I see the information and I say, "Oh my God, where you guys get that from?" But
Working on it, Earl.
It's fun.
Working on it. Excellent. And we hope to actually work a lot closer with the Jamaica Football Federation in ensuring that we get out information to the public in a timely manner, complete manner, accurate manner, as best as we possibly can.
Of course, if you look at my motto on Twitter, it says the more sports, the merrier. Right now, the more channels, the merrier, because we get to more information to the fans. Some of the information is crap, but that's how it is.
It happens sometimes. All right, there you go, sports fans. Thanks again, Earl, for passing through the Sports DTM virtual studio. Fans out there, leave a comment in the comment section below if you like the interview that we just did with the press officer of the Jamaica Football Federation, Mr. Earl the Bald Eagle Bailey. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to come and join the Sports DTM family. This has been another episode of Sports Down the Middle. Be blessed.